Hi, I'm Sharon, and this is a sampler style tutorial. Hi everybody, and welcome to my very first tutorial. So the reason I'm doing this is I'm actually a fairly new stitcher, and I really only found out about how doing this technique, I'd say about 3 months ago, and I had to do a deep dive on YouTube as to how to do this. So I thought I would film a top-down video on how to put floss onto thread drops so you can organize your projects better. And I love this, and I found out about it really by watching FlossTube and seeing all these beautiful threads that people have put on thread drops, and I was like, how do you do that? What is this? Is mysterious. I don't know. So I found some tutorials and figured it out, and I just wanted to make one myself just to give my viewers, you know, just a little insight on how I do this. Others of you may do it differently. I don't know. So I am working on this cute little Halloween pattern, Halloween Queen by Not Forgotten Farm. And I am stitching it on 36 count, 2 strands of DMC over 2 threads, 2 linen threads. And I made my threads on thread drops long, because I double the threads over. Now, I'm working on another project, and it's on the hoop because I'm working on it today. This is Thy Love Divine by Hands Across the Sea. I am stitching this with 1 strand. I have it here. 1 strand over 2 threads on 36 count. Actually, the same fabric I'm doing the other one on. And look at the difference actually between the stitches. I love both effects. Like, these stitches are really fat and kind of puffy, and it's really good coverage. These stitches lay a little flatter, and you might see a little bit of the fabric underneath. I love both effects. And for me, it's just a matter of personal preference as far as the project goes, what I want it to look like. So I wanted this one to be a little more full coverage, and I wanted this one to be a little bit more primitive. It's just what I feel the project should be. So, as you can see, the strands for the one I'm holding the floss double are longer, since I double them over. And then the strands that I use on the one where I'm only stitching with 1 thread, they're much shorter. And I borrowed this color from this palette. That's why it's longer. It does drive me a little crazy, but that's okay. So I have them both on rings, and they're very organized, and I can just take a needle and pull a thread out, and I'm ready to go. And I'm going to show you how to set that all up right now. Okay, materials. So I have been using these thread drops. They are called thread drops, and you can get them at most stitching stores. These are from accesscommodities.com is who makes them, but 123 Stitch has them, Hoop and Frame has them, and they come 32 a pack with a ring. So they have the little hole at the top that holds the ring, and then you put your floss in this big hole at the bottom. And I love these. They are great. If you have some hand-dyed threads like Gentle Art, They have the big hole at the top and the big hole and a hole at the bottom, and this works too. Although you can just take these off and use thread drops and just label them. Weeks Dye Works only has one hole, so they're probably not as convenient because you'd have to put, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can put your ring through this one hole, but personal preference. So yeah, you can make these yourself. These thread drops are made out of like oak tag. They're like a thick paper, and you know, they're awesome. They're easy to write on. One side is slicker than the other. That's the side I usually use. I write on that side. You can make them yourself. I am not going to cover that in this video. I will not be making my own because if you know me, you know that I do not like paper crafts. But there are plenty of people who make really cute ones. And I'm going to show you some that I bought from Treehouse Fiber Arts. And these are pink houses that she made to coordinate with Winter Rose Manor. And I have that chart. I have not started it yet, but I do have the thread drops and they're adorable. Love these. And I also have cardinals. There are cardinals in that pattern, so of course she made some cardinals and I had to have them. So yeah, you can find plenty of people who sell them. I will link these, this seller down below. Hi Rachel, hi Sue from Floss Toss. This is where I found out about these, and yeah, I really am very happy with them. That's basically what you need to get started. Okay, so we are going to start with some DMC thread, and I am going to show you how to put this red one on, and I'm going to say that we're going to stitch our project with 2 strands. So I'm going to make this one a little bit longer for our thread drops. Okay, so first we're going to remove the casing, and then you can see this one strand here is kind of hanging out, and if you find that strand, and you should be able to if it's a good skein, you can just pull from here and it should unravel quite nicely. So I'm going to unravel this entire skein of DMC, and I will speed this up so you can see how I do it. We need to unravel the whole thing, so let's start. So we have this skein unraveled, and we have our 2 ends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put these 2 ends together, and we're just going to fold the whole skein into 2. And again, I'll speed this all up so you can see what I'm doing. And you know, you might get a little bit of a tangle, but the best advice I have for you is to just keep this skein loose as you possibly can. Sometimes I do it off my side of my chair so it doesn't get as tangly. I'm just trying to show you here. So So here's our end with the 2 ends we started with. So here's our end that we started with, and here is the other end. Okay, so now I have this in a long loop. It's getting shorter. So now we're going to make this into 4s, 2 and 2. We're going to loop it again, and we're going to have 4 strands. Okay. We are looped. We have a loop on this end and 2 strands, and the other end. Okay, so for this now, for stitching with 2 strands, I'm just going to do one more fold. So I'm putting all of these ends together. And I have a length, and I'm going to measure it right here on my measuring table. I have about 36 inches here. So we don't want to stitch with 36 inches. We want to stitch with half of 36 inches. So we're going to fold it one more time, because we're going to have 36 inches when we pull out the strand. However, you're not going to be stitching with 36 inches. You're going to be stitching with half of that, which is 18 inches. So I'm going to put this now on the thread ring. This is 18 inches, about 18, 19 inches of strand. And here's my thread ring. And I'm going to, so this is, these come, like the front is a little bit slicker than the back. So I'm just going to put this through the front. Okay, so as you can see, here's my loop here. There's no ends, and the other end has ends. Okay, and I am going to put this loop through this hole. Okay, and then I'm going to come out the back here, and then I'm going to put the front of that through here, and you have this nice, neat little knot. I didn't do this very evenly because I'm looking through a camera lens, but that is just fine. So we have our skein on here, and now the most important thing you need to do now is you need to cut these ends, because if you forget to cut them and try and take a strand off, you're going to get a mess. Ask me how I know. So we need to cut everything that is in a loop at the end here. So here's one, here's one, and here's one. Okay. I'm going to go out a little bit. So here we go. We have our continuous length. And now I'm going to show you the most advantageous thing about doing your threads like this you are able now to take a strand off of this with your needle and pull it right out. So what I usually do is I find one of these, this is now 6 strands wrapped together, and I find one of these wraps, and I find one strand, and then I just take my needle and pull. And you can see it kind of pulling up. And look what I have now. I have one strand ready to be threaded on my needle. So as you can see, like I said, I'm going to be stitching with this doubled up. I'm going to be stitching this with 2 strands. So I'm going to leave these strands doubled up, and it's about 16 inches or so this way, and I'll even that out, and then I will thread my needle. Okay, so that's if you're stitching with 2 strands. I am going to quickly do this one. I've made my camera angle a little bit wider so you can see this one a little better. So now, say I want to stitch with 1 strand of floss. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter, so let's repeat the process. So we're going to take off these. Oh, the most important thing, I almost forgot. Write the number of your skein on here. Sometimes I even cut this off and tape it to here, but I'm just going to write, this is number 815. Because if I forget to do that, I will invariably lose these and I won't know what number I'm working with. Okay, so this is number 972, and I'm going to write that right on my tag. So I do not forget to do that. Okay, so I'm taking off the casings. I am finding the end and then just unravel. And this time I'm just going to drop this down. I'm going to drop it down over here so it's not such a mess. So I'm just going to unravel this. I'm now going to find the other end. It's all on the floor right now, see? I have my slippers on. I'm very cold. It's very cold here in New York today. Okay, so I am going to now find the other end, and we're going to double it. This is where I stopped the last time, where I had eight of these DMC 6 strands together. But since we're only going to stitch this yellow with one strand, I'm going to double it again. So now we have 16 6-strand DMC threads here. Okay, so it's shorter now. It is now, it's about 19 inches or so, which is a fairly good length to stitch with. And I am only going to stitch with one. So I'm now going to double it again and put it on my thread drop. Okay, so I'm going to put that through the hole. And loop it. So now, as you can see, it's shorter. It's not even because it's hard for me to do it. See how much longer this is? So this is about double the length, but we're going to be folding this over. This we're not. So this is how long it's going to be when you stitch with it. About 16, 17 inches. Let me even this out a little, it's annoying me. Okay. It's a little better. Alright, so now I have more loops to cut because I doubled it one extra time. And I'm going to take my scissor and cut these loops. It is ready. So now I'm going to pull the strand off. And it's going to be a shorter strand because I found for myself, I don't like stitching with a strand that's too long because it tangles, but just about 16 inches or so works for me. Somebody said between the tips of your fingers and your elbow is a good length of thread. Okay, here I go. I'm going to pull this out. Comes out a little easier because they're shorter. Okay, there she is. I can thread her on. So here's my yellow, and here's my red. Red is much longer because we're going to double the red one over. Alright, so the only other thing I wanted to talk about with this is hand-dyed threads. Right here I have some Gentle Art, and I have some Weeks. So the Gentle Art makes it very easy for you because they have already cut your threads. So this is ready to go. I could pull this right off here, no problem. You are set, which is really cool. Weeks, you could cut these and then use it like this. I usually take it off and even them out just to be sure. So yeah. So that's the deal with that. The only other caution about the hand-dyed threads is that they're variegated, meaning that the color is not solid. There might be lights or darks within a skein. And depending on the look you want, if you're stitching with one strand, it's not really a big deal. Just do it, it's fine. But if you're stitching with 2 strands, first of all, you really can't double up these because they're too short. They're cut too short already, which is fine. What you just do is just take 2 out and hold them at the same time from the same end. And then that will give you a more even look too, because of how they're dyed. The colors will line up. If for some reason you don't do that, and say you made these really long and you double them up, the colors might not line up and your stitching may have a more mottled look, and that's fine too. However you want your stitching to look. It's personal preference, and it's also depending on the pattern too. Your pattern might even tell you what to do. I don't know. So that is it. That's all I have today as far as showing you how to put these on. If you found this helpful, please leave me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It is the greatest gift that you can give me and any other creator that you enjoy on YouTube. Thanks so much. Cheers.